Okay, so ceramics, like out of a lot of art forms, has a really super, super long history because through time, like, when archaeologists go and they find stuff, paper, like, goes away. Fibers, fabrics, they found some of that stuff, but that goes away. But pottery often remains because it's like a solid, like, artifact. Like, it gets fired, the clay is permanent. The only way you can get rid of it is to, like, break it down into a bunch of tiny pieces. Yeah, and it'll erode. Very true. So, I still don't know what's wrong with my smartboard, so I have to stand here. This is the oldest artifact found that made out of ceramic ever. It's 2.5 million years old. Isn't that crazy? Whoa. I said 25. I meant 2.5. You guys, I'm just so excited. 2.5 million years old, not 25 million. Have we even had the Earth that long? I don't think so. Um, so anyways, this figure, oh, I did that. This is from the Paleolithic age, and this figure was often, guys, listen, was often used as like a symbol. They think it was used as like a symbol of fertility. So people would, they would bury it and set it on fire as like a sacrifice so that they could like have children and populate. Yeah. Uh huh. I really hope my mic just picked that up. Okay, cool. Very true. Yeah. So I put a bunch of words on here, but basically, this stuff's so cool because the child's fingerprint or whoever made this is still impressed in that clay, so they can see like the person who made that, their fingerprints. So that's one really cool thing about clay is that clay has a lot of memory. Like you can record anything on clay and it remembers it. Sometimes that works not in your advantage because that's when you get cracks and stuff. Um, yeah, we'll get into that next time because I'll talk to you more about like how it works. But I have a bunch of photos. I don't know. It's really cool. Oh wait, hang on, I have to open one more thing. So in the beginning, in the beginning, yeah, a lot of ceramics had like utilitarian function, right? We find a lot of artifacts in like burial tombs that people like they would create these ceramic pots and like put rice and different things in them so that their loved ones could have them in the afterlife. Um, this is a cool example. This is from China. It's from 2500 BC, and it was likely created to boil water in because the feet they could sit it down on the fire, boil water in it. Pretty exciting. I love this. So this is an example of one that they found in a tomb. So maybe this was like I don't know what this one was for. Maybe it was like their pet or like a guardian or something to look over them in their death. Um, but a lot of ceramics that are like super old are actually really toxic. Yeah, I thought it was a dog. Maybe it's all of the above. Yeah. Um, if you've ever been to the Nelson Atkins up in Kansas City, they have one of the largest, um, I can't think of words, collections of ancient, like, Chinese ceramics. And a lot of them are extremely toxic because the glazes have a lot of lead in them. What are you guys doing? Are you watching TikToks? Unless your TikToks are about ceramics. Uh-uh. Is there ceramics TikTok? Oh, no, 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 no. Let's make ceramics TikTok happen. Okay, I love these plates. So again, oh, got another. This plate could have been a marking for like someone's wedding, or even like someone's death. Families would commission these to like remember a moment. Oh, here's a cool one. I thought you guys would like this one. Yeah, so this was made in 1738 in Germany. Um, no. So porcelain figure. So people started. So we've looked at a lot of like utilitarian objects. We've looked at a lot of plates and bowls and cups. Well, not really yet, but plates. Um, and people started to kind of create sculptural works. They were from the beginning, of course, because we have those like figures that were like used as like sacrifice and things like that. But up until this point, a lot of stuff was like meant to be used to eat food or something. These are cool. Candle holders. All of that gold stuff is likely, it's probably gold luster, so that's real gold. That might be like a metal stand though. This was made in France in the 1730s. Very exciting. Here's a really cool picture from 1889. This one is crazy because it looks like contemporary work that there's like an artist that makes stuff that looks like this, and I thought it was hers, but it was made in 1889. Pretty cool. What is it? New Jersey, America. Yeah. No, I said that on purpose. Um, if you've ever watched Antiques Roadshow, this was on Antiques Roadshow a couple of years ago. Yeah, it's from the 16th century. Um, so artists were there was like, I don't know, we always have trends, right? So this was during a trend where like natural elements like animals and flowers and that kind of stuff was popular. So they stuck it on ceramics. Okay, can anyone guess what this is for? Yes. Yeah, it's from 1757, and it's French. This is the only, this is one of 9 other vases in the world that's known to exist like this. Isn't that cool? Um, I don't know if the pink is a glaze or not. It might be like an overglaze. We'll talk about that later. But that's like a really hard, like difficult color to achieve too. It's really cool. Awesome. Here's a drinking cup. This is Mayan. It's from the 7th or 8th century. It's got like a mythological scene on it. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Let me see. I wrote down the story. I'm going to post this PowerPoint. All the descriptions have like big stories in them. But this is about it's like something about the personification of rain. Yeah, it's really interesting. Here's a little vase of a cactus flower from 1870. Oh, these are fun. These are from the 1700s. Awesome. So up until this point, ceramics was kind of seen as like a craft, right? Like something we use every day. And then a couple people started coming into play, and they were like, "Wait a second, let's make it sculptural." So this is Peter Voulkos. He is pretty famous for being part of the ceramics revival that started happening, or like the mid 1900s. This was made in 2000, but he's pretty famous for being a very influential educator. He worked with a bunch of other ceramic artists that also worked to bring forth like contemporary ceramics. A lot of people think his stuff is cool. He also worked with this guy, Paul Soldner. So you can see how they're taking like utilitarian forms, and by that I mean like vases or like objects you would use, and they're kind of making them like, yeah, they're like breaking them down and making them more sculptural. Kind of crazy. Cool. They got famous for that. But my favorite influential person is Betty Woodman. She was working on the same time as these guys, making stuff like this. She's the first woman artist to have a retrospective at the Met, which is actually like a really, really huge deal. She just passed away in January this year. So she's been working a long time. I know. Very sad. I know. But you can see how she's using like these vessel forms and then she's flattening them. Like that's literally just flat clay that she's cutting out. Yeah, yeah. And then she started, oh no, moving into actually painting. This is like giant. So she's painting and setting up these whole scenes, and then that's like a ceramic vase glued to the wall, probably nailed to the wall. Yeah. So yeah, these are like ceramic cutouts, and there's a painting. A lot of ceramic artists are like really influenced by like history before, and I know she was really interested in what was it, like Wedgwood. Have you ever seen plates? Like, do you have anyone that has like fine china in their house? Like, and it's got like the blue painted on it. Awesome. So that's like a really historical thing in ceramics, and European people tried to mimic that, and they couldn't because they couldn't figure out how to make porcelain. So they ended up making all these other clay bodies with all of these chemicals that reacted badly with the glazes and stuff. And then they made this stuff called maiolica, and it's like a copy of China paint. And I'll show you guys some China paint next time. Um, but yeah, I don't know if you're into like funny history. Ceramics history is kind of heavy in that because it's just people trying to copy other people and doing a really bad job of it. Cool. And then I just included some people working now. This is Linda Sorman. She teaches at Alfred University in New York right now. That's probably all like clay slip. So it's like liquid clay that she's kind of suspended over and fired. And that's her with one of her pieces. Isn't that so cool? Like they fill up full rooms. I don't know if you've heard of this guy. His name's Ai Weiwei. Um, I keep clicking this. I'm sorry. I don't mean to. So those are like historical ancient pots, and he's breaking them on purpose. Isn't that crazy? I have the writing about it. So he's talking about he's talking about like cultural and symbolic value, and he was talking about the current some political thing that was going on at the time. There was something with like the communist regime or something. So he was okay. His quote is, "The only way of building new world is by destroying the old one." So he's destroying like old history in order to talk about like recreating a new history. Um, his work is like really complicated, but uh huh, yeah, that's true. I think he ended up breaking two of these. But this is when like ceramic starts to get into like performance art and art that's not necessarily like a thing, but talking about like the actual action of doing something. He also created those are all porcelain sunflower seeds, all that stuff on the ground. The One of the largest ceramic centers in the world is in Jingdezhen, China. It's known as the porcelain capital of the world. It's known to be like where porcelain was made. So he went there to one of the ceramic like facilities and hired all these people to make like millions of sunflower seeds, and they painted them individually, and then they went in the gallery floor, and then people stepped on them and like crushed them. So it's the same like conversation he was having about this one, where they are kind of erasing old history and creating new. Yeah, they actually had to shut the exhibition down because the ceramic dust was getting in people's faces and lungs. And if you inhale ceramic dust, you can get silicosis. Silica is glass. It means glass in your lungs. So that's why you have to be very careful with ceramic dust because it's very painful after a couple of years. This is one of my professors from college. Her name's Renata Casiano Alvarez, and she actually takes these ceramic objects, and after she's fired them, she cuts them up. Isn't that insane? So you can see like the inside of them, and these are all glazes that she's just like poured in. Yeah, this is mostly okay. My like history lesson is just exciting ceramics. This is Patty Chalmers. I think she lives in Illinois and teaches somewhere, but she makes a lot of plates. If you're interested in like illustration, and you want to incorporate that in your project when I talk about it next time, this is a cool way to go. We can talk about underglazes and drawing. She also recreates objects. I think this project, I don't know how many years she did it, but each of those objects symbolizes a person in her life. And when it was displayed, it was huge. So she just has a bunch of stuff she's replicated. This is pretty crazy. Yes. So I thought this was a cool example of artists using mixed media. You can totally do this, like bring in other objects and supplies, and we can like tape it on, glue it on, mix stuff up. This is Lauren Gillespie. You know how I talked about China paint before? If you have that image in your eye, like in your head of the China, like the finely drawn images, she also uses China paint, but it looks super different because she's like illustrating. If we have time, if we do China paint, we'll have to fire 3 times, but I have some and I can bring it in if we have time, because I might be able to come in and fire over Thanksgiving break, so I'll let you all know. If you're into social practice or like community work, you'd probably like, I think her name's Katie. It's Forrest Guard is her partner, but I can't remember her name. I'm terrible. But to the right, those dinner plates, she created those herself, like threw them on the wheel. And then for a year, anytime she went out to eat, she brought those dinner plates with her and ate her food out of them. So if she went to like McDonald's, she ate the meal out of those plates. A big like trend in ceramics right now is community meals for social practice, and that's basically like doing art to benefit a community. So people will like throw a bunch of cups or soup bowls and bring people together for a meal, and the actual meal is like the artwork, which is pretty interesting. If you're interested in that, I can talk more about it sometime. This is Virginia Leonard. She's from Australia. I met her a couple of years ago. She's wild. She's really fun to talk to. But I don't know what she does, but this is like slime. We can put slime on ceramics. So she's taking like, I think she uses enamel too and paints on the surface. They're just all like goopy and crazy. This is Linda Lopez. She teaches over at the University of Arkansas. Her work is like really exploding right now. She has a lot of assistants all the time. But she calls these her furries, and they have to do with like language. I think she grew up in a house where her parents spoke different languages, and then she was like the only English speaker in the house. So she had a lot of communication barriers growing up, so her work has a lot to do about that. But yeah, she spends like hours rolling those little tiny teardrop things. Pretty fun. This is Dita Mert. I can't remember. I think she lives in Philadelphia. But if you're really into functional work, I think these are really cool. There's like a special mixture you can make called Terra Sigillata. We call it Terra Sig, so I don't know how to say the full thing. But it makes like a really shiny surface if you're using terracotta clay. This is one of my friends. His name's Anthony Kazchek. I wanted to show you this because he uses decals, and we don't have a decal printer here, but I can always try to sneak in the university and do it if you're really interested in it. But you literally print off on special paper a picture, like a photograph, and then you put it on the clay like a temporary tattoo. So it just fires on. It's really cool. So these hands and then this base. That's a decal. I think this is like the last one. This is Katie McColgan. She's awesome. You can also, I have this special wire called, I call it high temp wire, but it's called something fancy, but I don't know. But it can withstand the kiln heat. So you can do like little tiny attachments. It's how people make ceramic jewelry too. They'll add that on and then put the posts or the little hoops. Cool. And then these are some of my friends. I told them to send me pictures. This is my friend Peyton. She's in New York right now working for a slip casting artist. It's pretty cool. But she makes really like lumpy, kind of dumpy figures and just arranges them all together. Paints them all pink. And then my friend Julie made this. So that's porcelain and it's so translucent if you get it thin enough that you can like shine light through it. Pretty awesome. I think that's it. Okay, I've rambled enough. Do any of you have questions? Or do you want to see more cups and bowls or what is it? So we're going to be using, I think what we have is stoneware. We'll talk about the differences next time, but it's basically like a low to mid-fire clay body, so it's not very porous. Okay, we'll talk about all this stuff next time. Basically, it's white. It'll fire and it'll be light color. It'll be like a light gray. Yes, that's for sure what we're doing. I'm